Welcome to this episode of Health Reversion. You're here with Adrian, and in this episode we're going to be having a look at vitamin B1, otherwise known as thiamine. We're going to be looking at what it is, what its role is in the body, any deficiency symptoms, toxicity, the whole food sources, and how to ensure that it's cooked and prepared in a manner that retains its content. Vitamin B1 is a cofactor for multiple enzymes within the body that help to extract energy from carbohydrates, protein, and fat. Thiamine plays a unique role in helping the brain and nervous system to utilize glucose to function optimally. Furthermore, other B vitamins can have a difficult time carrying out their role within the body if vitamin B1 levels are low or deficient. Thiamine-dependent enzymes can be affected by high stress loads, toxins, and inflammation. In other words, if you have a very stressful life, you're going to be drawing down on the B1 levels, on the thiamine levels within your body, and it's important to ensure that you're getting enough so that your body has those resources to deal and handle the stressful conditions. Depending on where you are in the world, it'll either be the recommended daily intake, recommended daily allowance, or daily value, which is 1.1 milligrams per day. Now, this is for a standard garden variety person that's living a relatively stress-free life. If you are an individual who is going through significant physical or emotional stress, or you're breastfeeding, the upper intake pops up to 1.4 milligrams per day. The following sources of vitamin B1 are from whole foods. I'm not discussing any supplements in this video. This is how you can achieve the recommended dietary intakes of vitamin B1 through whole foods. And make sure you stay through to the end to hear about the cooking methods and the importance of not exposing B vitamins to too much heat. So the first cab off the rank here is pork chops. So 6 ounces or 170 grams of pork chops contains the 1.1 milligrams, which is 100% of the recommended amount per day. Next up, we've got salmon. So we're looking at the same serving size as the pork chops. A 6 ounce or 170 gram fillet will contain 0.6 milligrams, which is just over 50% of your daily requirement. Now, if you are a vegetarian, the following whole food sources will provide the highest amount out of all the other plant-based foods. So we're starting off here with flax seeds, 1 ounce or 28 grams, so it's about a handful, contains 0.5 milligrams, which is 45% of the recommended daily intake. Green peas, 1 cup of cooked green peas contains 0.4 milligrams, which is 36% of your daily intake. Firm tofu, 1 cup of firm tofu will provide 0.4 milligrams, which again is that 36%. And finally, brown rice. So a cup of cooked brown rice will provide 0.4 milligrams and 36%. Now, the percentages that I've used are based on that 1.1 milligram, that standard daily intake. If you're under stressful conditions, you'll need to adjust those foods and either have a little bit more, or for instance, have the chops with a cup of brown rice to get that 1.4, 1.5 milligram upper threshold. In respect to toxicity, the good news is that vitamin B1 is a water-soluble vitamin, so it's stored in small amounts in the liver, but any excess that you consume that the body can't utilize will just be flushed out through the urine. In relation to deficiency, without adequate levels of thiamine, an individual may become forgetful, depressed, tired, and apathetic. Our main transporter of energy to the cells throughout the body is something called adenosine triphosphate, otherwise known as ATP. Thiamine is required to make this molecule, and therefore if an individual is deficient in thiamine and they're not able to make as much ATP, then that's where the reasons for becoming tired, becoming depressed, not having the motivation and the energy to do things is simply because the body just doesn't have that tool, that vitamin B1, in order to create the energy within the body. We've come to the last part of the video, which is to do with cooking. Unfortunately, vitamin B1 is severely affected by high heat or very long or prolonged periods of cooking. So it will degrade away and there won't be the levels existing that were once in the food if it is exposed to these sort of cooking methods. So for example, if you're looking to do the green peas, I don't mind the green peas myself, but if you're going to boil those green peas and chuck the water out when you're finished, the unfortunate truth is that some of the B vitamins have been lost into that water. Now, if you're going to drink that water, great. It's not always the nicest water. So the suggestion here is to lightly steam the green peas, and that way you're going to retain much more of the vitamin B content than boiling. And finally, you might have noticed that in a lot of processed foods, you'll see thiamine added back in. It's got some fancy names such as enriched, and so you'll have this original product such as brown rice where the bran will be stripped away and you'll be left with the white rice, and then several other processes happen and then a synthetic artificial version of thiamine is added back into the food and presented to the consumer as containing B1, as a good source of B1. But please understand that this is not a natural source of B1, this is a synthetic version of B1. So look back over those foods that I showed you before that are natural whole food sources and aim to get your B1 from those whole food sources. The reason that this is important is because B1 is not just a single molecule or a single chemical that can be isolated. There's much more going on. There's cofactors, enzymes, a whole range of other compounds that make up B1. And so when it's just isolated by a laboratory and a big pharmaceutical giant and it's placed into a food, it's not its exact whole, it's not its original version, how nature intended. So that's just something to keep in mind. I hope that you got something out of this video. If you did, please help me by giving it a thumbs up. It helps with the algorithms. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider subscribing. Keep a lookout for the next video on vitamin B2, where we're going to go through the same things, the whole food sources, deficiency, toxicity, and the cooking tips. In the meantime, I ask that you keep well, and I'll see you in the next episode.